So this is one of those Seiko's watches from the Seiko 5 lines. When it first came, everybody wanted it. I mean, everybody. The basically everybody was reviewing it on Reddit, social media, because this was like one of the first, affordable GMTs in the market. Because before this watch, you could not get any GMTs for this price. Retail at that time. Right now it's $475. I don't know what the retail was back then for it. So one of the reasons that everybody was so excited about this was because of the movement in this price range. That meant a lot of other micro brands now could come up with their own touch of GMTs in affordable prices. GMT watches were not so attainable before this. So I bought two of them, the black one and the blue one. I sold the blue one. I have the black one, which I think I'm gonna sell as well. Let's get into the specs of this watch. So right now, this watch is going for $475 in retail. It is a stainless steel case with 42.5 diameters in case, 13.6 millimeters thickness. The crystal on this watch is hardlex mineral. That's what Seiko usually use in their Seiko 5 watches. It's not as great as sapphire. I prefer sapphire, but it's better than mineral. 100 meters of water resistance and 22 millimeters of leg width. It comes on a Jubilee bracelet. Yeah, the bracelet is just whatever. It's one of those Seiko's bracelets. You cannot expect much from it. The movement in this watch is 4R34, which beats 21,600 vibrations per hour with a power reserve of approximately 41 hours. So the specs out of the way, how does it wear on the wrist? When you hear 42 millimeters or 42.5, whatever they specify it as, sounds like a very large watch. If you have a small wrist like mine is 6.5. That was like, when I first heard it, I was like, oh no, that cannot work. 42 sounds too big. But when I watched some reviews and YouTubers and the wrist shots, it's actually didn't look that bad. And when I got my hands on it, it wore a lot better than I expected actually. With the 42 millimeter case, lug to lug on this watch is around 45, little over that, which is a very wearable case size actually for most of the wrist. So the legs do not extend outside and it doesn't look too big and bulky, but to my preference, 42 is a still big case. Just the opening of the dial, it looks too big. At least now that I am used to 38s and 39s and 36, which I prefer a lot of watches that I really like. My favorites are 36 to 38. So now, but when I first got this watch, I loved it. I was like, especially during those first few days, the honeymoon phase or whatever, I was just in love with the watch. So the bezel has the same crystal on it, so it shines very nicely on the light and it looks very nice. The Jubilee bracelet is actually like, it's not one of the worst Seiko 5 bracelets to be honest, but also not the greatest. I can wear it a couple of hours without actually feeling it, and after that, it will start pinching here and there, the sharp edges. The clasp is basically whatever. It's one of their basic clasps. It is not the greatest actually to be impressed about or anything. The bracelet also polished in the middle, the Jubilee, and then the sides are brushed. The case is basically a mix of brushed and polished. There's a date on the 3-hour mark. The black one has the red GMT hour. I only use this GMT to track the time in India when I'm working. So some of our team members are India or whatever. So that helps, just looking at it. It is one of the watches that I did actually get compliment from my wife. She doesn't really compliment me on any watches. She don't even know. She thinks a lot of my dive watches that I wear that are the same. She don't even know how many dive watches I have, which is a good thing, because if she did know, I would be in a lot of trouble for sure. This is one of those watches that she actually does compliment. One of the GMTs that I wear more now, this one do not get as much wrist time, but the one that I do get more wrist time now is my Christopher Ward Sealander 39 millimeter. I actually am regretting not getting 36 because I think 36 would look better on my wrist, but this is what I found on Reddit at that time. I got it and I would prefer the black dial over this. which I am looking if I find someone to trade with. But eventually I think I want to sell this and get a 36 with the black dial on. Anyway, back to the Seiko 5. So I never thought when I first got it, I was like, this is one of those watches is always gonna stay in my collection. But there is so many beautiful timepieces out there, it's hard to make that commitment. I did sell my blue one recently, and I think I'm gonna sell the black one also. And one of the main reasons is it's not comfortable, the bracelet, and the dial is too big for me. More than the dial, I don't care as much. The bracelet I do. If it is not comfortable to wear, I don't wear it, and if I don't wear it, it sits in the box, taking up space and just waste of money. And at the same time, if I sell this watch cheaper, someone else who's been wanting this watch, can get the watch and have their experience with the watch. So I think that's one of the reasons I would rather pass on to someone else, who like the watch in a better price than retail or even, eBay and stuff. Because when I sell them back, I sell them for a lot less than what you can get, on eBay or Amazon or other retailers. Yeah, the main reason for me not wanting to own this watch for any longer is the bracelet. It's not comfortable, and actually, like, for the same price, I can get some Chinese watch with a sapphire crystal, in the same level of movement, same Japanese movement, better bracelet, and not original design, but I don't care. But the design would be even better, because usually those Chinese designs are copied from some of the best design watch designs out there. So would I recommend this watch to anyone who wants to own? I don't know. I mean, like, if you really want it, there's nothing I can say would change your mind, because you're still gonna get it. But at the same time, as an experience, am I glad to own it? I think so, because I got to experience and I got to see. With watches, it's all about the experience, and if you have that hobby, you want to experience all these different watches to see what you like, what you don't like, and that's the way to know if you like or not, to own them and wear them and experiencing them. Initially when I got into watches, the dial and how they looked was the most important thing. It still is, don't get me wrong. When you look down on your wrist, there is watches that make you feel, it's a piece of art. So it's a beauty. So just appreciate the beauty of art of watchmaking. What starts mattering more is the comfort, how comfortable it is on the wrist. And once I start experiencing more better watches and more comfortable watches, then the less comfortable watches are not as enticing when I'm looking at my watch box to wear. So that's what I'm trying to do now, to get rid of a lot of watches that's just been sitting on my watch box that I don't wear as much anymore. I want to get rid of them and start experiencing more of the watches that I do want to experience. Unfortunately, I cannot at the moment afford some of my really favorite watches that I want to experience, like Rolex, Datejust, or even Submariner, or GMT Master, or some from Omega and Tudor. But I can get the Chinese versions of them. I mean, they're not the same, but at least all these watches that I'm thinking that I really want to own them. How would it be to wear them? At least Chinese watches can give you an idea of how much are you gonna like that shape and form. So I am glad about that, for sure. It does look very nice on the wrist. The dimensions and everything is pretty nice. For being 42, it wears a lot nicer than it sounds. Yeah, one thing this watch has going for itself, it is a beautiful looking watch. It's a stunner and a public pleaser for sure. Anybody who lays eyes, anybody who is into watches or not, especially people who are not into watches, it is definitely an attention grabber. People do appreciate the look of this watch, how it looks, without even knowing the whole GMT or a regular, because the people who are not into watches, they don't really know that stuff. So in that regards, you know, it is a looker for sure. With that being said, I think that this is it for this review. Just wanted to share my experience, and I will see you guys on the next one.